such that x is taken to f of x, so x becomes f of x. And another function or another machine, g, such that x becomes g of x. Okay, it goes into this machine and produces g of x. The composite function of f and g converts x into f of g of x. Now, don't worry about the terminology. You'll see an example and it'll make a bit more sense. So you can call this f of g, f0gx, which means that this little machine, f of g, takes x to f of g of x. Alright, what on earth does that mean? It means f is following g. So first, if you're finding f of g of x, alright, f of g of x, first thing you do is you get x, in this case they're apples, you put them into the function g, and at this point you'd produce g of x. Then you put that into the function f, and you'd produce f of g of x. Alright? So you do something to your function, one thing to your function, your x, and you produce g of x, and then you do another thing to it and you produce f of g of x. So for example, say f of x is x to the 4. Alright, and g of x is 2x plus 3. How do we find f of g of x? Well, f of g of x equals question mark. So we're first going to apply the first, we're going to do the first machine. Our first machine is what? G of x. Alright? So instead of writing f of g of x, I'm going to write f of 2x plus 3. Alright? Because g of x is 2x plus 3. So that's equal to question mark. So f of g of x is equal to f of 2x plus 3. Now what that means is now we replace the x in f of x by 2x plus 3. Alright, so we get 2x plus 3 in brackets to the power 4. Right? So we're saying, what is f of g of x? Well, g of x is 2x plus 3, because that's there. Alright, so what is f of 2x plus 3? So f of g of x equals f of 2x plus 3. To do that, I replace the x in f of x by 2x plus 3. What about g of f of x? Well, g of f of x, so instead of f of x, I'm going to write g of x to the 4, because that's what f of x is. And now I'm going to replace the x in g of x by x to the 4. So I'm going to replace the x by x to the 4. And so g of f of x is 2x plus 3. Alright? Then you get g of x equals 3x cubed and f of x equals 2x plus 4. Different one. Find g of f of negative 3 and f of 0. Alright, let's do this in 2 bits. So, we're going to do, firstly, we're going to find g of f of negative 3. So we start with the function on the inside. So we start with this bit. What is f of negative 3? So f of negative 3 means we replace the x in f of x by negative 3. So we get 2 by negative 3 plus 4, which equals negative 6 plus 4, which equals negative 2. Then, now we apply g to the function. So we get g of f of negative 3. G of f of negative 3. And f of negative 3 equals negative 2, so that is going to equal g of negative 2. Alright, so now we replace the x's in g by negative 2. So we get 3 by negative 2 all cubed. Now negative 2 cubed is negative 8, so we get 3 by negative 8, which equals negative 24. Alright, how about we do f of f0? I'm just going to delete some of this stuff so we have a bit more room. Alright, so how I do f of 0. So what do we always do? Well, what's our first machine? Our first machine is the one closest to where x would be, or closest to this number. Alright, so first I'm going to find f of 0, And that means I'm going to replace the x's in f of x by 0. So I'm going to get 2 by 0 plus 4, which is going to equal 4. Alright? Then I'm going to do f of 0, which is going to be replacing the x. So we're going to be, that's going to be f of 0 is 4, so I'm going to actually do f of 4. That means I'm going to replace the x in f of x by 4. So I'm going to get 2 by 4, add 4. So I'm going to get 8 plus 4, which equals 12. Alright? Hope this is making sense. If you do a few practice ones, it should make a bit more sense. Alright, save. Let's move this up. If f of x equals ax plus b, find, so if f of x equals ax plus b, find such that f of 1 equals 7 and f of 5 equals 19, find a of a and b. Alright, how are we going to do that? So, we know that f of x equals ax plus b. Now we know that f of 1 equals 7. So that means if I replace x's by 1, f of 1 is going to be a times 1, which is just a, plus b. That's going to equal 7. F of 5 means I replace the x by 5. So I'm going to get 5a plus b. And that's going to be 19. Right. Now I've got a simultaneous equation, don't I? So I've got a plus b equals 7, and I've got 5a plus b equals 19. Alright? That is equation 1, and that is equation 2. I'm going to take 1 from 2 and write these steps, and in a test write these steps, okay? Because I can give you marks for logic, and this is logical. So I'm going to take 1 from 2, I'm going to do 5a plus b equals 19. You could do it the other way around if you wanted to. Take equals 7. Alright? Now we're taking these away, so we're going to do 19 take 7 is 12. B take B is going to be, it's really take this whole thing. So B take B is going to be nothing, and 5a take A is going to be 4a. So I'm going to be left with 4a equals 12, or a equals 3. And now I can sub that into 1. So again, write this down, sub into 1. So if I sub that into 1, I get 3 plus b equals 7, so b equals 4. So that is simultaneous equations with functions. Cool. Last one. Given that g of x equals x take 2 all squared, find g of negative 4. Don't expand. Alright? All you've got to do is put negative 4 where x is. G of negative 4 is just going to be negative 4 take 2 all squared, which is negative 6 all squared, which equals 36. Alright? Hope that makes sense. That's the end. Yay!